Okay, there are many disadvantages to legalizing prostitution, and one of the biggest ones is simply that it does not work. From arguments for and against legalizing prostitution from the website Debating Europe, it states, Germany's experience shows legalized prostitution does not work. Women are abused after hour in huge mega brothels around German cities. Human trafficking gangs continue to sell girls from Eastern Europe, South America, and Africa into sexual slavery. The industry remains unregulated and insufficiently policy. It encourages corruption, drugs, and other crimes. Along with that, it also is not being used. The system for prostitutes becoming legal isn't effective. As Prange Astrid stated, in Germany introduces unpopular prostitution law. She said that the desired effect for sex workers has not been achieved. Sex workers have not made use of their rights. Only 1% of sex workers have signed a legal contract. A survey conducted by the Social Science Research Institute on Women's Studies at Freiburg's Protestant University of Applied Sciences also showed that the overwhelming majority of the state-regulated health insurance companies and pension schemes do not list prostitution as a profession. So with that piece of evidence, it's hard to believe that actually legalizing it here throughout the United States would actually bring benefit to the sex workers if only 1% of the workers in Germany have mandated themselves as prostitutes, and if health companies aren't looking at it as a legal profession, then how is it going to help them here if it's not working in Germany? It also is not successful in terms of collecting taxes. Donna Hughes, a professor at the Women's Studies program at the University of Rhode Island, stated that German lawmakers thought that they were going to get hundreds of millions of euros in tax revenue when they legalized prostitution in brothels in 2002. But keeping with criminal nature of prostitution, the newly redefined business owners and freelance staff in brothels will not pay up. Germany is suffering a budget deficit, and the Federal Audit Office's estimates that the government has lost over 2 billion euros a year in unpaid tax revenue from the sex industry. Last week, lawmakers started to look for new ways to increase collection of taxes from prostitutes. Disgustingly, they expect to solve their economic problems, at least in part, off the backs of some of the most abused and explicit women in the world. So, with that being said, it's a huge disadvantage to have it be legalized here in Germany. The taxes have not been successful, creating a budget deficit, and that the women do not even claim that they are a prostitute, just 1%. Another disadvantage is that prostitution and human trafficking will continue to be a major issue. As Margareta Wilberg, a former Deputy Prime Minister of Sweden, spoke in a speech in Stockholm, said, "I believe that we will never succeed in combating trafficking in women if we do not simultaneously work to abolish prostitution and the sexual exploitation of women and children, particularly in the light of the fact that many women in prostitution in countries that have been legalized prostitution are originally victims of trafficking in women." Another statistic to prove that child prostitution will not decrease with legalization is by can't say the first name, but the last name is Raymond, from the article 10 Reasons for Not Legalizing Prostitution. It stated that another argument for legalizing prostitution in the Netherlands was that it would help end child prostitution. In reality, child prostitution in the Netherlands has increased dramatically since the 1990s. The Amsterdam-based child rights organization estimates that the number has gone from 4,000 children in 1996 to 15,000 in 2001. The group estimates that at least 5,000 of the children in prostitution are from other countries, with a large segment being Nigerian girls. So obviously with the legalization of prostitution, it has not brought down human trafficking, it actually has increased it, making it even more susceptible for children. Also, legalization does not reduce violence. Dave Anderson, from the same article, Top 10 Reasons Prostitution Should Be Illegal, stated that 73% of prostitutes who responded to one survey reported that they had been victims of a physical assault during their work, and 67% experienced post-traumatic stress disorder. Prostitutes in jurisdictions where the act of prostitution is legal do not experience any reduction in violence. So as Courtney had mentioned, that there's physical violence, and then there's also mental violence, and the fact that prostitutes can be mentally abused is something that you can't take away. Like, yeah, you can stop someone from physically hurting you, but you can't stop like the post-traumatic stress disorder as stated in that statistic. It's also a disadvantage that prostitutes don't even want to be in the industry. Christine Guttery from the article Head to Head, Prostitution Should Not Be Legalized Because It Promotes Inequality in Human Trafficking, from LSUnow.com, stated that according to a report on human trafficking and prostitution funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, 88% of female sex workers, trafficked or not, want to exit the industry, but numerous factors make it difficult, some of which include employment skills, dependence on pimp, poor health, addiction, or shame and lack of ID. So along with that, prostitution also cannot be a legitimate business. Donna Hughes stated that legalization and regulation aim to redefine prostitution as a form of work indicated by the use of terms sex work. The renaming may clean up the image of prostitution, but it does not end the violence and the exploitation. It only allows criminals and members of organized crime rings to become legitimate businessmen and work hand in hand with the state in marketing women's bodies. So with the fact that in Germany and the Netherlands and in Amsterdam and even in Nevada, it has been legal, and it time and time again has continued to show that human trafficking does not decrease, collecting money federally does not help, and even prostitutes don't want to be in the industry. I don't believe that legalizing it will help anything.